Mr. Bennett, you're here today to meet with American Jewish leaders, I guess, to discuss two things. Number one, the rise in anti-Semitism in the United States, but also what the Israeli government can do to help Jewish communities protect themselves. So let's start with what the Israeli government can do to help Jewish communities protect themselves.
Well, first of all, I came as a Minister of Diaspora Jews of the government of Israel to stand side by side with the American Jewish community and with the United States in this very tough moment, the worst anti-Semite attack in the history of the United States. And I was down in Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh. It was very tough scenes there, a very bad event. So we're here. Now, in Israel, unfortunately, we experience a lot of terror attacks, so we're sort of experienced in that. And there's many things that we can offer to help in terms of the balance between security and continuing life as usual, which is as important. And we'll definitely share our ideas.
What do Jewish institutions, not only synagogues but Jewish schools, have to do to protect themselves? What are they not doing that they need to be doing?
Well, I don't want to come and impose a specific formula. The main thing is awareness, higher awareness. Folks who are not used to this sort of thing, it's a huge shock. Even the minimal degree of awareness can change everything. One good security guard who's alert can prevent a terror attack. That's our experience from Israel. But things are very different here and there in many dimensions. So I think the main thing is to hear the specific needs here and then to see how we can help.
Do you think that armed guards will be necessary at synagogues and Jewish day schools?
In certain synagogues, certain locations, it may be necessary to have armed guards. That's our experience. But we want to continue life. We don't want to impose the highest degree of security on everything. Not every synagogue can become Fort Knox. We need to live. And that's the precise balance that we need to be talking about.
Well, in the wake of what happened in Pittsburgh, there's clearly fear. But is there a concern that after we get over the horror, not that we'll ever get over it, but after the funerals, after it passes, that people will let down their guard?
Well, on the one hand, we want people to continue living. We want people to feel secure. We don't want people to be fearful all day. On the other hand, we want to secure them. So that's why creating a degree of awareness and even drilling it a bit and exercising these sort of events can make a huge difference when, God forbid, one of these events happens. In Israel, a typical event will be just half a minute or a minute long until someone comes and addresses it. And that saves many lives.
I read in the Jerusalem Post that the Israeli government is considering the possibility of what financial help it could give to some smaller synagogues or other synagogues, really, to help them with their security needs. Is that something you would consider?
Well, ultimately, the security of American citizens lies in the hands of the authorities of the United States and the state authorities. I had lengthy conversations with the governor of Pennsylvania, with Mayor Peduto of Pittsburgh, and Israel cannot replace the authorities that have to defend the citizens in the United States. What we can do is share insights, share lessons learned, and that's what we're doing.
Can you help develop programs?
Yes, we can. Anything that we will be asked by local authorities here, we'd be, more than likely to help and in any possible way.
The Mossad has a group called Victor, I believe it's called, that can help with security needs outside of Israel. Will your security agencies be trying to provide advice, help, training?
We will only act in full coordination with the American federal government and state governments. because the United States, has its act together. Anything we can help, we will, but only based on dialogue with the authorities here.
But there has been a dramatic rise in anti-Semitic incidents in the United States. Is that of concern to you as the Minister of Diaspora Affairs?
Oh yes, we're seeing a surge in anti-Semitic attacks, both in Israel and both in the United States and across the world. Much of it is due also to social networks, the ability of small fringe groups to influence each other. It might not be a huge number. You might have just a few hundred, but in the past they had no way to interconnect, and now they can. And in that sense, we are very concerned.
Should social media platforms be taking a more active role in taking down hate speech?
Yes, definitely. Hate speech on social media can give indications of a pending terror attack. It can also incite and teach one another how to conduct a terror attack. These things need to be monitored and taken care of. Obviously, we have to balance it with freedom of speech, but we can't let these platforms thrive on incitement.
So what do you want to see social media platforms do?
Well, they should treat terror as they treat pornography, nudity, and other elements. Be very alert and understand that while we're very happy that we have these social platforms, they can't be allowed to be turned into a vehicle of murder.
So do they have the responsibility for alerting law enforcement if they detect hate speech?
I think they should be actively monitoring not every negative speech, but very extreme incitement and calls to murder. Yes, they do.
As an Israeli Jew who's obviously seen a lot of terror attacks in your country, what was your reaction to what happened in Pittsburgh?
We were devastated. 11 Jews were murdered in the deadliest anti-Semitic attack on American soil in history. And as the minister who's responsible for diaspora Jews, I got on the first plane to come and be with you, be with America, be with the American Jewish communities, and be with the community in Squirrel Hill. It's a horrible event, almost one of those things you thought were of the past, but apparently they still happen.
So what will your message be to the Jewish leaders you're going to be meeting with this afternoon?
The first thing is Israel stands side by side with you. We're here. The Jewish state was formed, among other things, to be supportive of Jews around the world. So never again will any Jew be just left aside, in the face of terror. And secondly, we will share our insights and lessons learned from Israel. Obviously, it's a very different situation, but I think we certainly can help.
What are the lessons learned?
Well, the main lesson learned is how do you keep life going while improving security. You don't want security to eclipse the standard way of living, because at the end of the day, life is stronger than anything. So there's a few quiet measures that can be taken that can go a very long way.
What are the quiet measures?
Well, alertness, preparedness of the community, and perhaps security guards at the right locations at the right time.
So what are the right locations, and what are the right times?
Well, the details are something we have to iron out with the folks. I don't want to give a accurate prescription here. We need to see. We need to understand where the threats are. We can't create full hermetic security everywhere, because that would be unbearable. We need the folks to go to school, kids to go to school feeling secure, but they can't be flooded with security guards, right?
Have we been lax here in the United States in our security and in protecting Jewish institutions?
I don't want to say that because this was unexpected. There have not been many such attacks. There was one in Seattle, another in Kansas City over the past 2 decades, but this is not a daily occurrence in the United States, and I wouldn't want the pendulum to move to the total other side of maximum security, expensive and unbearable. We have to balance the things, even at this very tough moment.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers and to people in the Jewish community in the United States?
Yeah, I'd like to say that this is a time for unity, not division. As someone who's not American, I see that it potentially can turn into a partisan issue, and it shouldn't. I think every side has to take care of some David Duke on the one hand and Farrakhan on the other, calling Jews termites. Every side has to clean up its act and ensure that we have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism.
So do you think that we've done enough in this country to deal with the extremist groups?
I think we need to call out anti-Semitism wherever it is. We need to speak up and never condone that sort of action.
Anything else I should ask?
No, I think we're good.
Good.
Thank you very much.
We're good. We have to just do a little TV thing?